Hello and welcome to the first edition of Freebird Rules Radio. This is the new wrestling podcast from your number one anarcho-comedy radio show on any station across the nation, Street Fight. This is our attempt to put out more wrestling content. We love talking about it, but we don't want to give up any of our precious airtime to do it. So once a month, you're still going to get Brian and I talking about the latest WWE pay-per-view or even just wrestling in general. But I want to add more. I want to offer more, and I feel like there's a lot of people around us on Twitter that follow wrestling close that have really good opinions that I still don't hear, even though, you know, Brian and I both listen to 20 hours of wrestling podcasts a week combined or more. So this is Freebird Rule Styles. Today, Brian and I will be on here. We have special guest Epitasis from Twitter, EPITASIS, goes by Nate, and he's going to share his opinions with us. But next time, you never know who the setup could be. It's going to be 3 different people. Each time, we're going to cover Ring of Honor, New Japan, and if we can get people interested, whatever federations that are out there that people are into. So stay tuned to what we're doing. Social media and all that stuff is coming soon. But for now, I really just want to get down to it and talk about wrestling.
We all want to talk about wrestling, Brett. That's why we're here.
Perfect. Did you guys get the? You always have to ask, did you watch the pre-show or not? I feel like, because I watch it from the beginning and all the commentary and stuff, but I know a lot of people miss it.
I did, yeah. I watched the pre-show. It was, I mean, I typically don't pay much attention to it. You know, just sort of background noise as you get prepared for other things.
I watched
it together.
Yeah, I had it on, but I was eating, and I was kind of, you know, I wasn't around for Zack Ryder's original thing, so he doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, he's another guy, or he's a guy in an odd spot where now it seems like, you know, they had that competitive match with him on Raw, and then they put him here in the pre-show, even though he's not, you know, in Long Island on this show. Obviously, they're in Texas. But it's like they want us to care about him again, but they've spent so long telling us not to that it's a little confusing.
It is tough as a fan. I actually like the guy. I mean, he goes hard for what he does, and I mean, does cool moves. I mean, I liked seeing him wrestle. Stardust is still someone that I don't care to see wrestle when he's out there. He has like the same Kane effect, where it's just like, oh God, somebody else get in there.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I'm not that big on the Stardust character. And actually, both these guys, I think, are kind of hurt by, like, their Twitter personas. Like, Stardust is doing a sort of odd thing where he types in weird characters on Twitter all the time, and then he has a secret Twitter where he takes shots at people like Colt Cabana. And then you have Zack Ryder, who got himself over in the first place through social media and stuff, but now when you see him on there, it's mostly kind of sad sack stuff and complaints. So neither one of those, you know, really helps my impression of him.
Yeah, and still, Stardust is doing a move called the Crossroads, which we all know is a reference to a name that he supposedly doesn't like anymore. And like you said, Ho has a persona that is like that runs through everything. He's a cosmic being from outer space, you know, except for when it comes to being in front of the cameras for the WWE. It seems like.
Right. Good.
I can't stand to hear him in interviews. Like anybody like Bray Wyatt kind of stays in character when he does interviews, but he still acts like a normal human being. Like Stardust never stops. He's like a Gilbert Gottfried type, but in a bad way.
Yeah, they will. I do know this match. I guess they changed the name of the Crossroads. I don't know if you noted that, Brett, but I guess he called it the Queen's Crossbow in this match because they're building a feud with him and the guy from Arrow.
Okay, that sounds that sounds interesting. I think I missed it. JBL said the Queen's Crossbow, but then they said it's the Crossroads. The commentary really messed that up for me.
Right, it was a weird thing. I mean, they filled half the commentary in this match with talking about Love Boat references that were before my time, and there was.
My time.
Yeah. King made a joke about JBL having big, throbbing vocabularies, and that's why women liked him, which was not their most PG moment. But yeah, they did, and they were talking about the Stephen Amell stuff, I guess, with him being on the show Arrow, and they said, yeah, now he's calling the Crossroads the Queen's Crossbow because that's the name of the arrow from Arrow or the bow from Arrow. I don't know.
Yeah, and the rumor I read earlier is that it's a match at SummerSlam against not Stephen Amell, but against Arrow. Like, it's going to be him acting like Arrow.
Ah. See, I guess that works because they're both sort of being their alter egos if he's being Stardust then.
Okay, well, I'm glad I don't. Maybe if I wasn't hosting my own wrestling podcast and trying to launch a network, that I would find that information out from you, I probably would have missed a lot of that. I mean, I think that might speak a little bit about what's going on, but no, I'm fine with that. He can fight TV, guys. Mix it all up. Take all the action figures and push them together.
Yeah, it's not a bad spot for him, but I mean, Cody Rhodes himself is not a bad talent, so I mean, if he's going to end up presumably losing to a television actor, I don't know if that's the best look for him.
Yeah, that's not the best. But also the Lana thing was real weird because it seemed like they really wanted to do something with her tonight, but without Rusev, it's like they can't really do anything. They can't move it forward, it seems like.
Well, if you want to go there, I say that I really did actually like their promo in the pre-show because Dolph Ziggler was not like the oozing sex porno guy. He was just more like, honey, I got a fight to get to, and maybe when I get back, we can talk. You know, he was doing that, and she was swooning all over him. I was actually kind of sweet on the whole thing, if I'm being honest. Like, she was just dreamboating about this guy that loves to fight. She just can't resist it, you know?
Yeah, I like the pairing's not bad. Although in the pre-show they didn't really sell me on why she likes him. I mean, you could say he's attractive. That works better. But you know, in the pre-show they were doing this social Q&A thing with her, and they're like, "So, what do you like about Dolph?" And she was like, "Oh, he shows me selfies, Snapchat," which is just like that sounds like just dick pictures to me.
Yeah, I mean,
which can be a reason. I mean, fine.
For a guy like Dolph Ziggler, the Snapchat is a way to have a lot of number one ladies on the side of the ring to get that extra special pick from him. So
yes.
Yeah, I mean, and they got some young people hanging out in WWE. They can't talk about a modern relationship.
She's like Adrian from Rocky. Like, I always see Dolph Ziggler as Rocky. Now she's like Adrian. She's pining away for the hunky underdog.
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, most of the pre-match stuff. I even liked the Dean Ambrose before when he was talking. He's getting real crazy now. He kind of acts like Roddy Piper a little bit.
Yeah, probably less racist. Hopefully less racist than Roddy.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more open-minded than Roddy Piper, but.
Yeah, well, my biggest note on Dean Ambrose, I think, was that I don't know about his hairline so much right now.
Yeah, he can shave though, and the way they were talking about him tonight. If you'll notice, there was a lot of "let's go get beers, brother," and then the commentary spent every time he was on. They mentioned also Stone Cold Steve Austin. It seems like they're trying to tell us something here.
Yeah, they're definitely angling for that. That beers thing is like Roman Reigns. You know, they couldn't quite push him as being this super cool babyface kind of guy, so now his gimmick's like, hey, I'm just the best friend and I love beer.
Yeah, and I always think about like those super athletic guys, they can't drink a beer. They'll be bloated as hell and all of their abs will disappear and all of their carbs will be messed up. There's no fucking way a guy like that sits down and drinks a beer.
Well, Roman's a little soft in the midsection, so I could buy it.
He might vape some gin or something, maybe. I don't know. He doesn't seem. Maybe I don't know. I guess I don't know if I see him at the end of the bar or not. Like giving you a thumbs up and just like sucking on a Lone Star or something.
Are you giving him the test that you give George W. Bush? Like when I have a beer
I'm
with
trying to run him through the president test right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a beer with him. He made this weird face. Like, I know we're getting so ahead of ourselves, but he made this weird face in the ring after Ambrose was holding the belt where he smiled and stuck his tongue out. And I was like, what is with this guy and his smiling lately? Like, he did it at WrestleMania, and now he does it in every match where he smiles. And it's like, this guy just seems like a dude they're saying, like, you know, he'll smile while you punch him in the face.
He's Miley Cyrus now. He's just out there wagging his tongue like, we're having so much fun, guys. Beating up Bad guys.
I'm
Yeah, I
not
wonder-
even in a match tonight. I'm just gonna come in, hang out with my boy Dino.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like sort of the same thing the Usos did. So maybe that's a familial thing.
Yeah.
Just have the tongue all the way out all the time.
It's weird, man. He seems a lot less like a SWAT guy now. The way that he kind of is buddying around with Dean Ambrose, and they did have him in the T-shirt. I hope they are turning him into like a loose dude. Like, hey, man, I'm just here. I'm just fucking
Sort of like
here
a Rob
hanging
Van
out.
Dam.
Yeah.
Rob Van
Hey,
Dam
man,
sort
if
of
you wanna-
stoner character. He's like, yeah, man, I'm cool. I'm Roman. I'm gonna get the belt. Whatever. Let's have some beers first.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to go kick his ass real quick, I'll sit over here and wait, man. I'm cool as a cucumber sitting over here.
He fucking came to the ring on Raw last week and let them beat him up so that Dean Ambrose could steal the contract to write it. Like he's turning into like the best buddy. We're all gonna be so happy now when he gets the belt because we're gonna feel like our best bud got it.
Yeah, I don't mind it really. I think it's a good slot for him. That's sort of been his his MO the whole time is just sort of the chill guy. Never gets too riled up. So
In the back, you're right, just standing in the back. And it's nice to have your super handsome, athletic, strong buddy win sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
They never really get to play that position where it's like, no, this guy's totally better than me than any way, but he doesn't even realize it. He's just out here having fun in the ring.
He didn't care about the. They made him seem aloof about the belt now. He's like, I don't care as long as one of my buds has it, you know?
yeah.
The only other pre-show note I have, which is probably going to be one of no comment from the rest of you, but The Miz gave a talking to with Daniel Bryan about how to sell himself better and take advantage of his book deal.
Yeah,
I did like The Miz.
That segment was weird to me, because Miz just seemed like he didn't know what his character was looking to do there. Like, he seemed to have a genuine moment for a second where he was like, yeah, sorry to hear about this, whatever, Daniel, and then he like tries to start on a yes chant, but that was like literally a second after he'd done some hackneyed line trying to shut the crowd up. It was like an elementary school teacher thing, like, oh, I put my hands up, you're all silent. That's what happens. He was just all over the place.
Yeah, it didn't really work. I mean, it was just taking too long to get to the point where Daniel Bryan could just stand up and say yes. But I don't know. Who knows where that goes from here? It was a mess. I don't even think the crowd was into it. Like you said, he didn't even know what he was going for. People were like, "Hey, we like what you're saying about Daniel Bryan, but we hate you." I think we just don't care.
Yeah, he was hot and cold.
So I guess the next match then was the Elimination Chamber for the tag team title, right?
Yes.
Can I say that like there were some baffling things about that match? I thought it was pretty good, but like first of all, there's no way El Torito should have been allowed in there.
Oh, disagree. Heavy disagree on that.
El Torito's part of their team.
Yeah, I mean they had three guys were in for the New Day. You should at least be able to have two guys and a bull in for Los Matadores, and he's the best part of their act anyway. So.
Well, but the thing about it is that like he didn't even have to get in the pod. I thought that was kind of unfair too. And like Big E, all three of those guys had to get in the pod, And
True.
like I guess you're right, they are all a team, but it was just I was like, man, they're real loose with the rules in the tag team one.
Yeah, I did think if they let three in for New Day and they had El Torito in there, they should have just put Natty in the match because Natty, I think, is just crushing it as far as the Cesaro team there.
Yeah, she's a good addition, and she can roll around. Yeah, she's perfect. She's definitely good. She's her up against Kofi or Woods is a good. I mean, it works. Like she slips right in there and works perfectly in there. They should have had her be a part of it.
Yeah, mix it up somehow. I really like the Cesaro team. I think they have great gear, which is very important to me. And yeah, Natty, just put her in the match. Why not? I mean, I think she's gotten involved physically with the Bull before. I don't see any reason why can't do that in the Chamber.
Yeah. I also think for me, overall, the match, without getting into too many details, was a good highlight of their tag team wrestling. There was a lot of double moves going on there. People throwing people into each other, whipping into each other. That is a highlight of tag team wrestling that you don't get from singles wrestling. So I think it was a big win on that point. I mean, all the teams kind of got to show off some stuff. Although the Lucha Dragons thing was really stupid because Kalisto is someone that can do this similar things to what Adrian Neville can do, and they need to just let that guy take flight instead of making this big deal about how, oh no, Kalisto can't do anything. His leg is stuck, so now we don't get to see anybody do any cool flips or anything.
Well, then when he decided to do something and climb up I don't know what he was getting at climbing up to the top of that whole thing looked like a mess when he climbed to the top of the chamber.
My thought, I think he was going for, I think he wanted to do a flip from the top, sort of falling into a plancha on, all the guys there. But I just think it looked to me, he was swinging out and he wanted to flip it all the way over, and I think he didn't end up going for it. But yeah, I think there was way too much awkward setup for that one spot. I think you got to learn from Homicide and TNA's mistake when he tried to climb to the top of their bizarre cage structure, and just keep it a little simpler on that.
That's the best video, the one where they put the song "The Climb" behind him, trying to climb to the top.
Yeah, just so awkward. Like they kind of were bailed out from it for a second because another team came in while he was still making the ascent to the top and center of the chamber, but it didn't work in the long run. I mean, it didn't look too bad, but it was a lot of setup, but that sort of disappointed in the end.
Yeah, I agree. I think I saw him swing at one point, and his feet kicked in a way that I would kick if I was hanging that high. Like, it looked like he got the willies, or like he got scared a little bit, and he was just like, woo! Like he should have done a flip. They're going for a pay-per-view moment. They don't do this shit like week to week, so they're going for a moment, and yeah, he bailed and just tried to basically swing back far enough that he could land flat on the guys, and yeah, it was a really bad showing for them.
Yeah, and that was weird. They did. I mean, I enjoyed sort of the New Day heel work where they were just being a dick to Kalisto for no reason by trapping him on top of the chamber. But that is sort of like grounding the guy and taking away from him what he does best, which is move around a lot and flip, etc.
Yeah, the Ascension also, they got I think the Ascension got 2 eliminations. Yeah. That's more than they've done since they've been on the main roster.
Yeah, I wrote that down as well. I said that the Ascension looked pretty strong here. When Primetime Players came out, they fended off Titus O'Neil pretty heavily. Now, it worked out well so that they teamed up and took him out, but Ascension walked away from this, looking better than they have. Primetime Players also looked good because we don't ever get to see them wrestle really. So for them being out there and showing up, it was good. The Darren Young taking that first slam onto that grate was brutal looking too.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good match overall. It seemed like people didn't enjoy it a ton, but yeah, the action was pretty smooth, pretty constant. There weren't too many dead spots except for that one awkward spot. Yeah, I was a little perplexed by them. Okay, now we're going to make the Ascension strong after debuting them with 2 months of having octogenarians squash them on Raw, and now they're going to put them over whoever, Lucha Dragons, and I forget what other team they pinned, but I guess that's sort of the standard move for the WWE is hot and cold, start and stop booking.
Yeah, it's just if you're not on the top, I mean, you're just going to get that. You're just going to have to deal with that. So New Day walked away with it, which, I mean, I never thought Primetime Players had it. I don't think. I mean, Cesaro and Kid looked pretty good. Cesaro, when he rejected that big boot from Titus O'Neil, that looked awesome. It's like he grabbed his leg and straight up rejected that shit. But there was just waiting too long after putting in finishing moves and stuff, and it just never got to that intensity. But still, New Day as champs is always is a good thing at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, and it seems like New Day, they definitely got, I think, the biggest reactions. They got the biggest heel reaction just because that New Day sucks chant is really over. And yeah, I think this is sort of an interesting crowd, I guess, because it was sort of a house show crowd before it got turned into a pay-per-view. So you get sort of, more house show fans and kids than you would sort of the old smarts like us that would go to a pay-per-view. But yeah, they seemed like they were pretty into the New Day's heels, and then I think the Primetime Players started getting a good reaction when they started putting in the power moves and putting the hurt on the New Day at the end.
I actually like the primetime players. When I thought they did I thought they did some cool like tandem moves, and Darren Young's finisher is cool as hell.
Yeah, they were good. It's like Titus is a little clumsy, which you wouldn't expect, I guess, from a guy of his size and apparent strength. But yeah, I thought they did pretty well. Had a good showing.
And him getting choked outside of the cage was also A+. I liked that a lot. When they had his head, they shoved his head outside in between and were standing on his neck. That was good.
Yeah. What is Darren Young's finisher? I remember he got a pinfall off it, but I can't remember what it is now.
It was like he threw him up in the air and stabbed him like with his knees.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
throws him up and lays back and hits him with his knees.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a falling code breaker or something. I don't really know what it actually is. I wish I paid closer attention.
It's sort of like Roderick Strong's backbreaker, except to the stomach or chest.
That's exactly what it is. So the next match we had here was the Divas match, the three-way, which I actually have more than I thought I was initially when it first started, than I was going to say. I think overall, Paige, I don't know if she's ever done any sort of legendary work with WWE or with AJ yet, but having her in there did ramp up the violence a lot for me, and I think it was necessary.
Yeah, I didn't. Only notes I took before this match was when we had, I think, the Dolph and Lana backstage segment, and I noted Dolph was wearing Paige's jacket. It seems like he has like a new studded tiny jacket that he was wearing. And it looks like the same gear as Paige's. That's the only thing I noted.
Yeah, they I'm sure they shop off the same rack or at least share costumes.
They probably have a lot of the same CDs too. Their playlists on their iPods probably look exactly the same.
But I don't know. There was some stuff like Naomi throwing Nikki Bella outside of the ring. They were doing that old shoulder bump thing, but she went all the way out, which I like. Because I mean, they've turned that whole shoulder into the steel post thing. They've really overworked that at this point. But the fact that she also flew out of the ring, that took it up a notch for me.
Yeah, and I think really I like all three of these girls. Paige is the one that really acts like she's actually a star, just in terms of like her physical charisma and the way she carries herself coming down to the ring. But I think all these girls are pretty decent as far as the level of diva worker. The one thing I did note just on my Twitter was the WWE is actually really lucky that they hire people like the Bellas, both Nikki and Brie, and they're primarily were hired from the diva search and because they're attractive women and have some personality. But they really kind of hit the jackpot with these people that they pick up because they respect themselves and they respect wrestling enough to learn how to be pretty good workers. You look at how much Nikki has improved.
Yeah, I think my only criticism of any of these girls is Naomi. She sometimes it never looks like she's getting hurt. I guess when she doesn't sell that well. It looks like she's like it sometimes can look like gymnastics with her. I guess that it doesn't look like with the rest of the people. Like she doesn't go limp. I guess.
Yeah, I can see it. They sort of accent her athleticism more than it seems like she's in a fight.
Yeah. So
they want her to try to. She's more focused, I think, on doing maneuvers than pulling off like something that's going to hurt somebody. And she really slopped up that reverse Hurricane Rana though. Like I was worried about Paige's head. I was like, geez.
Yeah, it did bring it down like a spike.
I think overall Nikki retaining is fine for it. I think it just keeps us at least in the same stasis of opinion about the Divas division until someone comes and shakes it up.
Yeah.
I think if they play hot potato with it now, it's just going to send it even lower than where it is. I think the supposed injustice the fans think that Nikki Bella being the champ is, I think it's just going to build more anger and be more helpful for them in the long run, really.
Well, I think she's supposed to be a babyface, right? I think is what they're going for.
Well, I'm talking about the internet people,
okay.
the online people that are upset that like a real women's champion, someone that can wrestle, isn't in there type gimmick.
Well, yeah, no, I think keeping it with her and sort of solidifying the position as sort of having a strong champion in there is better because presumably I don't know if it's eventually they shoot it to Paige or something, but eventually we're sort of on hold at this point until the NXT division I guess graduates and tries to turn it into more serious women's wrestling product is the hope.
Yeah, I think that's why you let Nikki have it, because she's good at wrestling. She's good at wrestling, but she also has, like, there is like a thing with the internet fans. You could really bring like a Charlotte up as a heel like they did Kevin Owens. You could bring somebody up as a heel like Kevin Owens and have them beat up on Nikki for a while, just like they're doing with John Cena.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm fine with Nikki holding the belt until they bring Sasha Banks up and, you know, go full speed ahead on that and have her just be the best heel on the roster, basically.
Yeah, and the Alabama Slam she does is good every single time. I like to see it every single time. And the power bomb, her doing being the base for that power bomb into the fall away slam off the top rope was fucking sweet. That looks like, I mean, that's a good way to wreck somebody's shoulder. That looked really good. The way
that was another one where Paige took a pretty rough bump off that Tower of Doom there. Yeah,
that was a pretty good setup. So I don't know. I mean, we just sit and wait until the next part. But that was the Divas action for this pay-per-view. Next was the title versus title match, which I think this is the most anticipated, right?
Yeah, I mean, rightly so. I don't think anybody. It was weird that, you know, it had to go on that early, but once it was over, that really let the air out of the room. I mean, it was like nobody's gonna do anything as good as this.
Yeah, the crowd was definitely way up for this match, and that was sort of their peak of the evening, which I was almost as surprised. I was surprised they were as hot as they were, I guess, because Corpus Christi typically has the reputation of not being a very good crowd, but you know, you had everyone had somebody to be invested in there between Kevin Owens and John Cena.
Yeah, and they did it like it was a really slow burn. It wasn't the way that like Kevin Owens even wrestles in NXT, where you're engaged throughout the whole thing, like just bobbing and weaving along with the motion. I kind of came into the match more confused once they started realizing that, you know, Kevin Owens is the bad guy here, is the heel. I'm rooting for him. You know, I've wanted to see this happen forever. But he's in there just to make it shitty, to make, you know, to fuck things up and make John Cena have a bad time. And by the end of it, when they were showing those kids with those frowny faces, it was like mission accomplished. Kevin Owens is like the biggest asshole to a huge segment of their fan base that they were trying to do that with.
Yeah, I thought it was a great match. I pretty much from once they started getting into, you know, trading their big spots and you started having, you know, top rope reversals and these things, I was super into it. And really from the beginning, they were getting good heat. Like, you know, Kevin could do one move and just do a basic taunt and just sort of look to the crowd, and people were, you know, full of vitriol for him.
Yeah, they had a lot of time to I mean, act like they were going to go in and step back, and it was still going. I mean, they really had a lot of time to soak it up. But I think when Owens did that move where he swung him around to his back and held him and then like drove his shoulder in the mat, like once they started pulling out these big maneuvers and then Cannonball shows up and then that top rope, whatever that fucking thing was, that ball of mess that came crashing to the ground, man, his fucking moonsault, I mean, it was like, it was ratcheting it up so many times over.
That package pile driver spot that he did in this match, where it looked like he was about to do the package pile driver, I jumped out of my chair and said, "He's gonna do the package pile driver."
Yeah, he spun it out. Yeah, it was an odd move. He teased it and then like spun it out into some side spin out powerbomb thing happened there. But yeah, I mean, just in terms of like, I mean, I love moves. Just in terms of the moves he showed off, you could see that people were getting interested in him just right away. I mean, he had it all, and I was happy that the commentary wasn't as bad as it used to be in the commentary when you had these, you know, NXT guys come up. Like, he didn't get, you know, the Daniel Bryan on NXT treatment or the Ascension from NXT treatment. Just like, he came up and they immediately respected him in terms of like Cole and JBL.
Yeah, I think they had to because he had the belt. Like, they brought the other guys up without the belt. They can't make fun of the champion of NXT. But I guess he's probably not long for that now.
Right. Well, it used to be like when they bring in Daniel Bryan, he would say, "Oh yeah, I've traveled all over the world," and Cole would be like, "Oh, that doesn't matter at all. Nothing matters. This is the big show, and it's all starting over from here." But they actually, you know, I guess there's a change in policy now. They actually use stuff like that to their advantage and say, "Hey, here's why you should care about a character. He has, all sorts of these credentials and this sort of experience. And it's just like, thank God that we don't have to suffer them, talking down all their own talent all the time.
Yeah, that's very good news. Daniel Bryan was always being called a nerd goat farmer that was weak, and the crowd didn't think of him that way at all, and they wouldn't shut up about it. But JBL was going in and saying, 15 years. Who cares about championships? This guy's fought for 15 years to get here. He wants respect. Like, yeah, they really did ratchet it up to be like, this is serious. I don't think anybody's taking this man as seriously as you should.
Yeah, and they're treating now. They're making him like they're giving him like just he's gonna be the world's biggest baby face in like a month if he keeps beating the crap out of John Cena like this.
Yeah, he's always been a baby face to that sort of crowd, I suppose. But the word is that he's going to be pretty much main roster and that he's going to be plugged into that spot Rusev was in before he got injured. And I just think it's going to be great because he had a great showing here. He's had a great showing every time he's been on the microphone. Like he has that Montreal accent, which is like it's vaguely menacing in like that 80s sort of villain movie way, where it's like he's sort of like this, he's not from here. He's some vaguely European guy, but it's just got like the perfect amount of menace. So yeah, I'm pretty. This was the one thing I was super invested in coming into the show, and it fully delivered.
Yeah, this is a big moment. Just getting those Ring of Honor DVDs about Kevin Steen and all that, and following someone's career and making it all the way to this, and then seeing WWE here making a change to where they were showing old pictures of these guys together, acknowledging that these people existed, making them into fully realized people. Packaging it to make it good wrestling, but really taking advantage of what they had, where everybody else thought we were going to get like a Steven Kevinson or something. He was just going to be some misuse of this guy that can really get people to rally around him. He walked right into the big old ring, the 20x20 ring, and told John Cena, "I'm going to whoop your ass," and then went and did it.
Yeah, and he's also they're giving him the mic, like giving him the microphone after the match. I thought was really great too, like that, and like visually he looks great in the ring with John. Like putting him in the ring with John Cena first, for some reason, like I picture. They always say that, like, when the crowd chants, "Let's go Cena," it's the kids and the women yelling, "Let's go Cena," and it's the dad saying, "Cena sucks." And, like, Kevin Owens is the, like, he's the guy dads can rally behind.
Yeah, he's like he's the most badass dad on the face of the planet.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you feel like wrestling was a place where a lot of guys who had faces for radio could go and still get a performance job. It was ugly, grizzled, weird-looking people used to be able to make a lot of money in professional wrestling, and now it feels like they're models and this and that. And Kevin Steen looks like, I've always said, he ordered all of his gear off Amazon and was just going in there on dad strength and anger about his bills and not having enough money for what his family deserves. And it's like the best character. We have the demographic that likes that has so much money to spend on this. And if WWE likes money, this is the route, and they're doing a good job with it.
Yeah, I'm full speed ahead. I'm totally invested in Owens from here, and they have so many options. He's already in 3 feuds at least. At this juncture, and then they're running a rematch with Cena and Owens off of Owens getting the win here. So that I got to see that. And then he's got this feud with Sami Zayn on the back burner because Zayn's out. But that's just the heat from there. To say nothing of their years and years of feuding in other promotions. Their whole feud in NXT was, Kevin Owens was mad that Sami got the call to the big leagues first, and he's going to come in, beat him, take his spot. Because this was his dream, and this is how he's going to get his big paydays. And now Sami Zayn's been the one that's leapfrogged, and Kevin Owens can be sitting on the main roster when Sami's on the shelf with an injury. So I'm invested in that. They still have that on the back burner, showing those pictures of Sami like you mentioned. And then we've got a story to be written with Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, if maybe that's how they get the belt off Owens while still making him look strong and moving up to the roster.
Yeah, and you got Finn Balor has to wrestle. He has to wrestle
Right.
Finn Balor at some point, and him and him and Regal is a possibility too. and like it seems like they were hinting at it at least.
Yeah, and maybe if not a straight wrestling feud, some sort of involvement there.
Yeah, but Kevin Owens is a way to crack this thing open. You know, all the people that have been disgruntled about what it's been over the last decade, it seems like Kevin Owens is a good way to just have how many other guys come down that runway to battle him on the big main stage. And to me, it's great. It's showing that WWE is nimble and they're light on their feet. The Samoa Joe news also shows that they're not as old and curmudgeony and codgery as they are supposed to be. They're accomplishing shit that we want to see, that we're happy about, that we don't mind paying money. Well, paying money and then sharing the name and password with our friends, at least.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about it. I was a little, just like devil's advocate, I had said earlier, maybe this is just the one bone that they throw, all the old school smarky internet fans. They throw us a bone every 2 years, and then it keeps us saying, what if, and maybe this is the thing they'll get right for another 2-year period and keep paying money into their machine. But, it looks like he's got Triple H behind him. If, they put him into that authority role or something and have him be their big bruiser, anywhere they go from here is going to be good, presuming he doesn't just job out to Cena at the next show.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of, big guy that they throw a bone for the fans, this was the Intercontinental belt, complete with Daniel Bryan sitting ringside to watch the belt be taken away from him.
You missed the cool-down match between the Intercontinental belt and the Kevin Owens John Cena match, which was the Bo Dallas Neville match.
That I actually missed because I was trying to get dinner.
Oh my gosh, I missed that one too. I was getting my baby to sleep or doing something. I forgot that one even happened. Maybe I was talking to my wife on the phone. Yeah.
We all needed a breather after that Owens win.
It wasn't I wouldn't call it a 5-star classic, is all I'm gonna say. I guess it wasn't terrible. It seemed like it ended really fast. Like all that really happened was Bo beat the crap out of Neville for about 5 minutes, and then Neville did one move on him and then a red arrow and pinned him, and it was over.
Yeah, that's about what I would have expected, I guess. Although they did have a good NXT title match, however many months or year ago back that was.
Oh, the ladder match, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not even sure I knew that match was on this show.
Yeah, good wrestlers, great wrestlers, but like you said, in wrestling, there's a way that they program this stuff, and cool down is exactly the right word. So, thanks guys for going out there and putting on a show for the live audience. We'll keep paying attention to you. Now on to this Intercontinental belt.
I like that you're thanking him for putting on a show for the audience.
Hey, fellas, let me know. Let me give you a big attaboy. Come over here. I'll pat you on the behind a couple times.
They had to go get their they need time to get their soft pretzels, right?
Yeah.
Got to get the merch. There's got to be a merch spot.
Everybody. And fruit snack.
That's true. There's that's also a merch spot, Brett.
Everybody's got to go get
long as hell.
They put out like 3 new Kevin Owens shirts, so all the front runners had to go out and get their new Kevin Owens gear immediately after seeing Cena lose to him.
Oh, that's such a good feeling. I wish I could get that. Man, those people got something special with that. He's my favorite guy now.
I'll bet you he did. I'll bet you he earned a lot of new fans tonight. Like, just people that were like, I didn't know they had a guy like that on there.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, the one guy I really want to see the reaction of is I don't know if you saw the video of Steen's son when he made his debut on Raw.
Yeah, I did. That was the sweetest. I hope they have video of him. So, it's weird though because his son's a Cena fan.
Yeah, he's like the biggest John Cena fan.
He demolished John Cena.
Yeah, actually, I'd like that. They should make that the basis for their feud. Hell, just have old school shots of like Diana Hart at the Bulldog versus Bret Hart match. I'd like to see Kevin Owens' son sitting in the second row watching his dad and John Cena duke it out.
That would be great. He's gonna do that someday. It's gonna be like when Mankind, they show Mankind's kids, and the audience
Yes.
will get his head bashed in with a chair.
Yes, this is what we need.
So the Elimination Chamber Tag Intercontinental match came up next, which how'd you guys feel about it? Did you guys love it?
It was not a hot opening. That Barrett and Ziggler together was just vanilla fudge, man. It was like hard to watch. The whole thing just plodded on the same way. It just really was. I wanted to get it over.
Well, I came into the spot. Basically, they had this whole gimmick where I guess the idea was Sheamus was locked in his pod, right? And they had all these referees trying to get him out of the locked in the pod. I had originally thought this was a gimmick spot where, they had intentionally broken the pod or something. But then all the wrestlers in the ring, the other guys, you had Ziggler, you had Ryback, I don't know, R-Truth and Mark Henry, I guess, were already in the ring. And they all of a sudden got super disjointed, like this was unplanned, and they were trying to fix stuff on the fly. Like it seemed like Ziggler was going over talking to the referee, trying to work out a spot or something, like they were actually screwed up. But then at the end, and the announcers didn't even recognize this or put this over, the point had been that Sheamus locked himself in the pod with like his Celtic cross or whatever.
Yeah, that's too high art for them. I think they get a little bit too like they're making a movie, and it just isn't. You got to have like pre-made footage or something.
Right, and if you're gonna do it at all, you got to clue the announcers in. So they mentioned it to me. I didn't even figure it out until somebody had pointed it out to me on Twitter. But that was, I guess, the theory of the match. But nobody, like everyone else, got so disjointed and out of whack trying to work the rest of the match in the ring while this was happening that it seemed like an honest-to-God screw-up.
Yeah, and I tell you that Elimination Chamber, having the steel on the outside seems like it would open up a lot more combinations, but it really didn't get much out of these guys. By the end, I mean, Ryback took 2 slams on that steel grate and somehow got up, and Sheamus didn't have to take 1.
Yeah, and like, did you guys ever think about, like, they never used the ropes on the outside of the ring to bounce them off the ropes and into the cage. You would think somebody would have thought about that by now. So that bothers me too.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm not trying to say I didn't pay any money to go to school, so I don't know how it all works. But as a viewer, I agree with you. It's with you, Nate, where maybe we don't know what was actually going on. Maybe we're just idiots, but it looked frantic in there. Like it looked like it was something happened, and then like you said, the commentary was trying to explain something about a lock, and it's not matching up, and you have refs fiddling with things, and it's just I mean, take a chance, just like practice that beforehand or something, like, let the clue the guy in out there that has the camera. I know there's a guy walking around there with the camera. Get him in on the action with that lock if that's so important.
Yeah, they almost seem to practice that old thing where they wouldn't call attention to it, like with fans would run in the ring, they'd put the cameras anywhere else so they didn't show it and encourage it or whatever. Here it was like, oh, we don't want to show that the refs are screwing up the lock, after the initial thing where Sheamus didn't enter the ring. But that was all supposedly part of the story. Supposedly that was all part of Sheamus being a dastardly heel, and they just never clued us into that at all.
There was also a part where, and I can't remember who the 2 guys, I think it was Ryback and Ziggler were fighting, and the camera was focused on Mark Henry a little bit, and he was just standing there like he was frozen, and it gave a freeze tag. And it looked like he didn't know he was on camera. There's a lot of times where it looked like they didn't really know they were on camera.
Yeah, this was sort of the opposite of the earlier match, where the earlier match had pretty much constant action and one team would flow right into the other team. This one, was a lot of standing around, a lot of people that seemed frozen in place, and a lot of sort of awkward, random transition into the next move, and then, okay, now it's a pinfall, I guess, sure.
And like, how can anybody get amped about the end of the match when it's Sheamus against Ryback? Like, that's not gonna get my motor running. I'm sorry.
I mean, even continue with I would say continue with the Sheamus and Ziggler thing.
No,
I know that
please don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
I would rather see someone that's more invested in.
I think out of this whole crew, it's like Ziggler's the only one I can really take seriously on some level. At least he has a program with Lana who, shows they have some sort of plans for him, so that ups my investment in him. All these other guys, like Mark Henry, is in and out of the show every 3 weeks, so we know there's not anything coming down his way. And Sheamus, I don't take seriously a lot of time just because he has those giant lifts in his boots every single week out there, and I can never look away from that.
Now I'm going to be stuck looking at him now, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now he has that giant mohawk, too, just to try and make him look that much taller.
Well, to be honest, though, if I would say that I would have given it to Sheamus, though, over Ryback when I thought it was coming down to it. At least Sheamus has been in the buzz. Like,
yeah.
People or at least have him in that upper tier. The other guys fall away. It's hard to remember who else was in there bouncing around. Sheamus having it again at least makes it to like, oh, this tub of lard, this jackass has it. Like this guy that everybody dislikes. I mean, he's a good ass heel. He's easily hateable for a multitude from like, a guttural reason, like a cerebral, like as a smart, you don't like the way that they do, like all of it. It just sucks about him.
Yeah, I have a real Ryback. Like, I think Ryback is a nerd. Like, I cannot. He seems like the nerdiest wrestler. I hate his gear. I really hate Ryback's
It's really bad. It's
very
bad.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it looks 90s. It really looks 90s. Like, he should walk out to the ring. Like, I guess it kind of looks like hippie in a weird way, like Rob Van Dam, except for, Rob Van Dam is kind of cool in real life, and Ryback is definitely not cool in real life.
Yeah, I think Sheamus may have been the way to go, because at least if they're actually looking at trying to make this lower belt mean something like they've done with the U.S. title, like Sheamus we know can have good matches. He's had a lot of good matches with people. He had some great matches with Bryan. He had great matches with, like John Morrison back when he was there, and with Ziggler even. But Ryback, I think Ryback's match with Bray Wyatt, where he had a bunch of ribs busted, that may have been Ryback's best match ever. I'm not trying to see a whole bunch more singles Ryback matches.
Ryback versus Sheamus coming up soon. That's gonna happen. I mean, if Sheamus wasn't in the ladder match at Money in the Bank, I would think that was gonna be the next match.
Oh, that's another thing that annoyed me. Ryback wins that match, wins the belt, but then two of the guys he beat get the Money in the Bank ladder slot. Like, how does that work?
Neither one of them get it, though.
Yeah. The thing about Sheamus also is that he has a recent history with the belt. Like, he came back from retirement to go after this fucking belt, so it kind of makes sense that at least he should hang on to it to make it mean something. Ryback is just a guy that I don't like. The crowd isn't behind him. Like, there's no reason that he should be elevated. I don't understand why it's happening. Because like you said, he seems like what they would put on like a Nickelodeon like cartoon, like a Hannah Montana. They would do a pro wrestling and they would have like Ryback on there.
Or The Simpsons. He's like a perfect like Simpsons wrestler. This is what wrestlers are.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy I kind of like his outer ring personality, where he's just like a giant goofball about being so big and like eating. Like, that stuff's fun enough, but. Yeah, and most of these guys, pretty much all these guys are ones that they've hurt just by having them lose too much and making them, 1 minute they care about them and they're winning matches, and the next minute they don't care about them. You look at like Wade Barrett, who was in this match, and I totally forgot about it. He's like the poster child for, they're hot on him for a week and have him cut promos and give him a big win at King of the Ring, and then, hot for 1 week, cold for 3 weeks, and have him losing to everybody in sight. It's just too many guys like that, and they were all in this match.
Yeah, since WrestleMania, they've kind of blown up the intercontinental scene, which I applauded back then when they did. And I still at least like that we're talking about a handful of guys, but we are getting to the point now where if they're not going to keep some continuity to it, they're going to lose us again. We
need a few more guys. We need new guys. Some of these guys got to go away.
Yeah.
Well, if the best surprise you can bring in is Mark Henry, nothing against the guy. I'd love to root for Mark Henry. He's easy to root for. He's just, shows up once every 6 months, and it's just not gonna, it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere.
Why can't? And this is a serious question for both of you. Why can't Randy Orton have the Intercontinental belt. I don't see why they can't just give it to him.
That's not bad, actually. Randy Orton's reliable, and we know they have plans for him in the future, so it's not like half these guys where we have no idea if they'll be on the show in 2 weeks.
I think they consider it dropping a tier, though, for him. I don't think that they consider him down there.
But John Cena dropped down to the U.S. belt. That would
Right,
be considered dropping a tier, too.
That would be perfect, really, is dropping both of them a tier and have them, putting on good matches and actually mattering to people while in the mid-card with these lower belts. Like, if you want people to care about the belts, that's a good way.
They'll probably put it on the Big Show instead of Randy Orton. They'll bring them both back, and then they'll be like, you know who will really get this thing over? The Big Show. When we went to the NXT in Columbus, the NXT Live event, one of the matches was Big Show versus Ryback.
Oh, my goodness. That's like the antithesis of everything that NXT is supposed to be in terms of wrestling.
It was dark. It was a really dark time. And actually, in that room, I said it on the last podcast, on the last wrestling show we did with Travis. I said we all should have looked at each other after that match and said we shouldn't be proud of what we just did here.
I feel bad, though. I mean, why was Big Show out working that much? Like, he didn't have to do it. He shouldn't be on the special show. I mean, he's always wrestling.
Yeah. I don't know what, like, when you talk about Ryback having the Intercontinental belt, now, really seriously think about who he feuds with next. Who cares? Who even cares?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, no one's, I mean, the chance, the dance, the guy has taken the John Cena 5 moves of doom and turned it into, like, 3 minutes. Or, just 3 moves of, I mean, he's got 3 chants.
He does have chance.
It's what it comes down to is I don't see the crowd behind it. Like I'm not into it. Like I've never wanted to do the chant with him because it just doesn't excite me. I don't know what they're thinking here unless it's going to be people pick on him so much that he gets mad. Maybe that would do something and he could put on like a black t-shirt or something.
When he comes out there, one way you can tell the crowd's like feelings about Ryback is you can always hear him yell, "Finish him," and it's not like he's mic'd or anything. you never miss his catchphrases because the crowd's never being loud enough for you to miss them.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with Ryback. The only guy out of this group I have any interest in is Ziggler, and that's even Ziggler's like, the exception to the rule guy, where they've beat all these other guys enough times that you never have any confidence in the company doing anything with them. Except Ziggler still gets the reactions that he's gonna stick. So I mean, I guess they've gotten him a program with Lana, but what do we do with Lana now that Rusev's not there?
If they turn, I guess they can't. I guess they moved Lana over to him to keep him because, like, I did notice in this match, Ryback went after Ziggler an awful lot. Like, for some reason, they used to be pals. You know what I mean? They used to be real good pals.
Yeah, they were back when Ziggler, I think, for me, caught all of his fire, that Survivor Series. Like, that propelled him up. And he is the guy that they have the most invested in right now and has been putting on some brawler matches. I know he's supposed to be like a internet darling and all these other things, but as far as where they have themselves right now, he's the guy that has the most clout, the most reaction, and the most going for him and is doing the best work, I think, even.
He went at Survivor Series, he lit up like a wet match. Like he was on fire for a brief second. They went right out.
Yeah, stop and start all day long.
Because, I mean, really, if you think about the Ziggler at Survivor Series thing, he needed Sting to help him anyway. And look how pathetic Sting looked.
Yeah. Oh, poor Sting. And then after the fact, they were still selling it like Sting won the match instead of Ziggler.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got to the main event, which I really thought was going to be boring after the Cena Owens match. I felt like sucked all the oxygen out of the room. Yeah. It was just like there wasn't going to be. It's like when you get to the end of a stand-up special. A lot of times you stop laughing because you're like, I've laughed enough. Now I'm done.
You got it. Those muscles are well worked over. Yeah, I kind of forgot it was coming on too. I was like, what's next again? Is there another match? And then it was starting. I was like, oh, this might be good.
Yeah, I was kind of conflicted. First of all, I don't know why did Rollins enter first? That's like my old school Jim Ross complaint. Why Rollins? They did a whole
True.
video package. They did like 5 minutes on Dean Ambrose, and then instead of having Dean Ambrose come out on the heels of his video package, they send out the champion to come out.
I have
So
one
okay,
theory. His entrance music is fucking great, man. Like I made fun of it at first, but it's now when you hear it, like you feel like yeah, things are about to pick up in here. Business is about to
yeah.
pick up, and I
But
think
even
that's really what they're going for. I think they're really going to turn him into like a Stone Cold Steve Austin character. Because I think Vince McMahon is that shallow, where he's like, you know what people want is a Stone Cold Steve Austin.
yeah, they were pushing it a little hard. They were a little heavy on the Steve Austin references. I mean, he sort of fits that role as far as like being a slightly outside the norm anti-hero kind of guy, but I mean, he's not Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's for sure.
Yeah, the look is, I mean, it's not quite the guy that will get out and road rage you, like that Austin looks like. Like, he looks like he'll get out of a pickup truck and beat you up. And Dean Ambrose is, I mean, just seems like I don't know, a scrawny guy that just won't stop fighting.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier. I think that like the beer thing also is another thing where they're like, these are your buds, man. You want to go and drink beer with these two guys. That's what you want to do. And I really think that that's what they're really transitioning Dean Ambrose into just they'll have him in jean shorts with one of them knee braces on in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he is really like unconventional though. I like that they're thorough in what they do with him though, where he is reckless as hell. He does a dive outside, they end up rolling over the announcement table. He does, a clothesline against the ropes, and they're both going outside the ring. So, I mean, they have it all together, but you're right. I did not think it was going to get wrapped up in Stone Cold and rattlesnake packaging.
Yeah, what I will say about Ambrose, like he's a guy like Ziggler where it doesn't seem to matter too much how much they beat him, and people still care about him because they're still into the character, they're into the whole package, the music, everything. But he's sort of in terms of this specific match, he's sort of like Shinsuke Nakamura for me in a way. Like Shinsuke Nakamura is like the best wrestler maybe in the world right now. But he's weird because all of his signature spots do nothing for me at all. Like his whole vibration thing, all that stuff that he does, like they don't pop me whatsoever. And one of the guys I follow on Twitter, I'll give him credit for this. He said Ambrose is weird because I love him on the mic, but I don't care what he says, and I think he can wrestle, but I don't like the style he works now. And that's this guy Brock Toon I follow, and that's the same way. Like his whole rebound lariats, all that stuff really doesn't do much for me, and his brawling doesn't do a lot for me. But I still like the character. I'm still into the character.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying there. I can see that. And along those same lines, there were shining moments though. Their opening was really good, which WWE sometimes has too much of like the standoff opening. They were both in there, and the back and forth was really good. Like good wrestling that you would expect from two guys that became really popular for their independent wrestling. I thought it was really good at the beginning, and I'm with you on the other stuff. I mean, I root for the guy. It's just you can't help from it. Just something about you makes something about it makes you like the guy.
I think Seth Rollins also makes his moves look a lot better than most guys. There's a lot like when Kane takes dirty deeds, he like lands on his knees, and it just doesn't look like it hurts. It looks like he's like it looks like it's more of a knee maneuver, knee buster than a head buster.
Yeah.
And
that's very true.
So like the Bulldog, I like the Bulldog, but some guys make the Bulldog look like shit. They go down on their knees and it doesn't look right. But when Seth Rollins takes one of those things, man, his whole body looks like it's being flung around. Like those two guys look really good together. But when Ambrose is in a ring with somebody else that maybe doesn't bump like Seth Rollins does, then yeah, sometimes it can look kind of. You're like, oh man, come on, like this looks really sloppy. His punches are like, come on, dude.
You don't feel them at all, the punches.
Yeah, and there was a good back and forth between those guys, like you said. I mean, it takes two people to make a match good, and that's, Dean, I think, does always put his best out there. It's just that this is a match we wanted to see however long ago Bray Wyatt came in with like a holographic ghost. So I think it's great that we got to have it. Everybody was saying, don't worry, they're going to do it, and this was good. The back and forth where like Dean wrapped up Seth in the ropes and then dove off into the leg drop on his neck, like that was a good spot, and then Seth coming back by tying him up in the ropes and jumping off and hitting him with his feet, like it was a good response. The whole match I thought was actually, I mean, what I like in a wrestling match, like that Shinsuke type stuff where it's just the other details about it all make sense and work together. You're like wrapped up in a moment. And the ending was fucking bullshit, even though, I mean, this whole goddamn pay-per-view, we've been talking about locks and this weird shit. I don't know how he was fucking disqualified. He's the fucking champ to me. That's my champ right there. I'm getting the Dean Archie shirt after I'm done with this show.
My daughter lost her mind when he won. Like, she jumped out of her chair and started hugging me, like because that's her favorite wrestler.
Oh, man.
It's Dean Ambrose, and she saw him win the belt.
No.
Yeah.
And then they got taken away.
It hasn't been taken away quite yet. She's still convinced she's the champion.
Well, I in terms of the spots, I have to give a shout out to when Rollins did the Phoenix Splash and landed on his feet and rolled out of it. That was bonkers. How do you even do that? That's totally nuts. That's like Ricochet stuff right there, where he can land on his feet out of any move. I don't know if I've seen people land on their feet out of the Phoenix Splash before.
Yeah, that was
Rollins is really good.
It's one of those things where you think this guy's just the WWE champion. He's not going to pull out any of these maneuvers, and then when he does, you're like, "Fuck, man! He just pulled out of his back pocket like it was nothing." Yeah.
Yeah, but that finish, like, I don't know. I mean, I like that they left it open. That they at least let him keep the belt and run away with the belt. That's better than having him totally, look like a geek by just giving up the belt because the ref says so. At least, that fits with his character. That fits with Dean. Cool. He's an Attitude Era guy. He doesn't give a fuck. He's going to just take it and peace out. So that I'm happy with.
Watch him throw it off a bridge. I hope he throws it off a bridge like Stone Cold did.
No, I want to see Dean on Periscope with Roman Reigns and the belt, partying with Vegas, making it do shots, putting lingerie on it and shit, like taunting Seth Rollins.
I do want to see Roman Reigns acting like a fun party guy, like a regular, like these guys, like it's so weird.
Not connected. What happened?
Hold on, Brian. You went out there. You said it's so weird, and then we had a delay in the connection there. Brian? Can you hear me,
Brian?
Nate?
Yes.
Oh, no. Brian left. He has that terrible connection. But I know what he was going to say, which is you want to see Roman Reigns in flip-flops kicking people's ass, right? After a sand volleyball tournament.
You know what? That works for me. And you put it on the network, you put it on, a vignette on Raw where Rollins and the Authority are pissed off and Dean and Roman are out, drinking their beers and being fun guys, and put in some cameos of Roman's family and do whatever you have to do. That works for me.
Tear up the town with the cast of the Entourage movie.
Yes, there you go. That's like, and when the finish happened, first I thought my initial inclination was, oh, this is like, you hear about back in the days when house show attendance was down and they have to hotshot a title change in order to make people think that anything can happen on a house show. They're doing that with the network. That's why this pin happened. And they did their dusty finish, and I thought, oh, well, this is like when, they had a phantom title change to Chris Jericho back in the day when he, beat Triple H and then the ref reversed it. But I think what they want to do now is take a cue from like that DDP and Raven feud where they had a stolen belt and, he wasn't the rightful title holder, but he was holding on to it. And have some fun out of the ring stuff with the two of them and Seth just being pissed off that Dean has his title and is out living it up with it.
Yeah, there's a lot to run with that. with there, and the dusty finish is always good. I mean, when you go back and watch them, they're bullshit. You're like, oh fuck this. Are you serious? This is you'll get into 45 minutes of amazing wrestling. So yeah, I like the way they did it, and you really did nail it. I hadn't given it enough thought, but taking the belts was the right move, because you got to look cool and you got to look like you don't give a shit, and it does open it up, because the Intercontinental, the way that we're talking about it, it needs revamped. They have time to put on with the United States, with Kevin Owen. They have a lot of opportunities here, and we've seen that this new combined WWE belt title is best when it's it lays low, when it only shows up for special occasion. It's what has elevated all the Brock Lesnar matches. It's what made the triple threat good last time, was like, oh my God, this belt only shows up, very specific occasions, and now it's in the hand of this fucking madman who we all love. So I think we're in a good spot. I mean, I'm still happy to be keeping up with it. Their their big events, their pay-per-view. It's just a pay-per-view, like network only event is what it is, right?
Yeah. And that was weird, just because they had that old school pay-per-view warning right at the beginning, even though it's not on any pay-per-view providers.
Yeah, that's interesting. It seems like the new model is away from pay-per-view, but they're increasing the amount of these special events is what they are. But they're not doing anything to change the verbiage or the language, or even, like you said, the handling of it. They need to make this just a network exclusive thing, so people get on, I guess. Interesting.
I think the network exclusives are cool. I will just go back to what you said. I'm not going to totally advocate the dusty finish. And I'll give another shout out to my friend Oatgen on Twitter, who said, you shouldn't do a dusty finish if you're going to do it for somebody's first title win, because you're not going to get that reaction the second time. Somebody can only win the title for the first time once. And now Dean's, had that reaction where we thought he won the title, and it wasn't that big a reaction, to be honest. And we know that the crowd was a little down after that Owens and Cena match. But yeah, I mean, if you could have had a clean finish, I don't know if that might have been better in the long run, because then you can save Dean actually winning the title and have it be a real big memorable moment. But I do think him taking the belt and running away with it, that's making the best out of it once they committed to that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess as far as wrestling, like Legends of Wrestling or the stats go, I mean, that is a salient point, but this also worked really well. When they announced that Seth had actually retained, his eyes bugged out of his head so far. It was just so cool, because that guy is so talented at what he does. He brings something new every single time, and him going bonkers about actually retaining was just a little bit of a joy. It's why people have the shirts for him.
Yeah, that was a great reaction, a great facial. That's definitely an animated GIF already, I'm sure. I thought the weird thing I thought about that was Lillian Garcia was such a heel when she announced it, like she was purposely being a dick. It was like, no, you're right, crowd. Dean Ambrose did win, but here's the bad news. It's like, wow, Lillian, why don't you just be upfront with me instead of drawing it out like that and really, really needling me with the bad news.
Yeah, don't be so biased. You're an arbitrator of the news. We don't need your spin on it. Tell us who won the match and who's still champion.
Yeah,
it's Seth Rollins. Yeah, overall, I mean, a good place. Like I said, I mentioned before, at least we didn't end with any holographic sister Abigail finishes or anything like that. This is still good ass fun wrestling stuff. So I'm excited for what happens next at Money in the Bank, which is another. I mean, that's one of the best ones, man. Like to think that Elimination Chamber can be so shitty, and we're coming off a pretty damn good Elimination Chamber, besides one really confusing match, and heading into a Money in the Bank. So, I mean, I'm feeling happy about that.
Yeah, I'm certainly more optimistic as far as the WWE shows than I was, a month ago even. And going back, they were in a pretty rough spot for a long period after WrestleMania. You had all those nonsense finishes with stuff like the Bray Wyatt finish and that Hell in the Cell match. But yeah, in terms of going forward, really the Kevin Owens thing is my number 1A interest, and that's got enough. That's got enough of my investment behind it to keep me. I'll be watching Raw, which I don't always do, but I'm gonna end up watching Raw tomorrow, and I'll probably be checking out NXT to see where that goes too.
Yeah, they've really got something going. It's it's a good time to be watching. I'm glad they've taken it and turned it into something good that people want to see, and it seems like they're adapting well to the environment of people talking about it and making it really fucking fun thing to do. So stop judging people. So get off my back about it, okay? It's not silly.
I do like that they're just having these random special events. That's something that makes it, you're a subscriber. That makes you feel like you're getting your money's worth, and they just throw you a random Elimination Chamber to watch.
Yeah, King of the Ring was a great addition too. I liked all those matches. They were taken seriously. I mean, WWE level seriously.
Right.
And they put on some good ass singles matches, and that was like, that's a nice bonus.
Yeah, never hurts to get a little freebie.
So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed what we did. Unfortunately, Brian did cut out there. He has really bad internet. If you follow him on Twitter, it's MurderBryan, Murder Brian. He complains a lot about how bad his internet is there. I've seen it several times. If you want to follow our guest, Nate, he is at, now you said there's a Latin way of saying it. I say it epitasis.
I don't even know. This is like one of those words you only ever encounter reading it and you never hear out loud. YouTube told me it was epitasis. I used to say epitasis. Most people actually put epistasis. That's not correct, but it is one of those epitasis. Epitasis. It's Epitasis is correct.
Ew, please follow Epitasis on Twitter. For all the good wrestling tweets and everything. We're going to have him back. He was great. I'm sure y'all love to hear his voice, his thought on wrestling. You did a good, wonderful job. You never know who you're going to get when you put out these openings for co-hosts, but we're going to continue doing this. Obviously he knows his New Japan, so we'll have people back for that. Stay tuned to find out what we're doing. Street Fight WCRS, streetfightradio.com right now is the central place to do that until I get more together for this. We'll be back, I think, for Ring of Honor. I'm going to do another one of these. So see you then. Peace.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.